Good morning and welcome to Cafe Talk. I'm Emily, here with Lisa for 3 stories about people showing up.
Morning! I brought coffee, a notebook, and a heroic phone-free plan.
Today is August 5th. Our stories move from a movie theater to AI rules and hot restaurants.
A blockbuster, a rule book, and a restaurant thermometer. My brain has already changed outfits 3 times.
First, a new Spider-Man movie had a very large opening. Then the European Union begins applying new AI rules that include labels for generated material.
And finally, British restaurants are trying to make their rooms more comfortable when heat waves arrive again and again.
Today's keyword is turnout. A turnout is the number of people who come to an event, vote, or gathering.
So a movie can have a strong turnout, and a neighborhood meeting can have a tiny turnout even if the snacks are excellent.
Exactly. The word focuses on who actually came, not only on who said they were interested beforehand.
I like that. My weekend plans often have a huge promise and a very modest turnout by Saturday morning.
We will describe big numbers and new rules without pretending to know every result.
Facts first, dramatic soundtrack second. I can work with that order.
At Cafe Talk, we turn global news into natural English for everyday conversations.
You may hear show up, come into effect, and not a quick fix as the chat moves along.
If this helps your English routine, please subscribe and practice with us each day.
Bring your coffee or commute. We are glad you are here.
Let us start with a movie opening that brought a huge number of people into theaters.
Then we'll look at labels and trust before ending in a restaurant where the temperature has become part of the job.
The first story is about Spider-Man, Brand New Day, which opened to $355 million in North America, according to the AP report.
That is huge turnout. People did not just leave it on a maybe someday list, they got themselves to a theater.
The report also puts the global debut at about $927 million. Those are opening figures, not the film's final total.
That's like seeing a long line outside a cafe and trying to guess the whole year from one busy morning.
Sony described it as the studio's biggest opening ever, and the report said it gave the 2026 box office a boost.
I can almost hear it, people comparing seats, snacks, and favorite scenes on the way out.
The headline calls it the second best opening ever. We can repeat that claim without making our own ranking.
My brain is already making a glittery ranking board, but I can wait. That number makes the room feel loud enough.
Save the glitter. In this story, opening weekend is simply the first days a movie is in theaters.
That makes me picture the same movie poster lighting up screens far beyond one neighborhood.
Yes, even without every number, you could say the film had a strong opening weekend.
Or you could say the turnout was bigger than I expected. That works for a concert or class.
The story also gives us a simple business idea. An opening can create attention, but attention is not the same as a long-term result.
It's like a line on day one. The line is real, but it doesn't answer every question.
Exactly. We shouldn't guess about the final box office, reviews, or what another studio will do next.
Still, $355 million in North America and about $927 million globally make the first weekend easy to notice.
That's why turnout is our key word today. It turns a giant number into a simple question: how many people came?
And sometimes the answer is enough people came that even the quiet person in the group chat had an opinion.
Our second story moves from movie screens to digital screens. A new EU law comes into effect on August 2, requiring labels on generated content.
That is when a rule stops being a headline and starts showing up in the apps people use.
Exactly. The report says labels are required for AI-generated material, which is one way to make the origin of content clearer.
That sounds practical. If I see an image online, I may want to know whether a person made it, an AI made it, or both were involved.
The Commission has added 38 people to the new oversight team and opened reporting and compliance desks.
I pictured 38 detectives with tiny magnifying glasses waiting for a strange post to tumble into my feed.
Maybe not the tiny magnifying glasses. The team is meant to address concerns including deepfakes, illegal imagery, and hacking.
I would check a label before sharing it. I want to know what it is.
Exactly. The report sets rules for labels and oversight. It does not call all AI-made items bad or name a violator.
My phone doesn't care where a border is. A post can travel farther than my coffee gets cold.
The report says the rules also cover large companies based outside the region. That's why a regional rule can matter beyond one region.
I hear covered by a rule and picture sorting mail. This belongs here, that goes in another pile.
For example, a policy can cover temporary workers while leaving a different event outside of its scope.
I need that edge. Otherwise, every weird post goes into one huge junk drawer in my brain.
We don't have a list of penalties in today's confirmed facts, so we won't invent one or predict who will be punished.
That keeps me from treating one label like an alarm bell for the whole internet.
That's a fair summary. The story is about making AI content easier for people and businesses to understand and trust.
A label won't make my group chat wiser overnight, but it gives us one less mystery to argue about.
Our final story is about UK restaurants and other hospitality venues that are rushing to install air conditioning as heat waves keep returning.
It sounds obvious until you remember that a restaurant cannot always just order one machine and solve everything by dinner time.
Exactly. The report says older and heritage properties can face high installation costs and planning permission barriers.
If I'm sweating at dinner, I want to fix tonight. An old building doesn't work on that schedule.
A historic building can have rules about changes, and a business also has to think about cost, staff, and customer comfort.
If a room is too hot, the customer notices. If the kitchen is too hot, the staff notices even faster.
Industry groups say venues that can't deal with the heat may be at a disadvantage for staff retention and customer comfort.
That makes me think of the person standing by a hot oven. Comfort is not a tiny detail there.
Right. We don't know the renovation plans, prices, or future sales from individual restaurants from this report.
I've eaten in a room that felt like a toaster. A fan can look like a cape-carrying hero, but it can't rebuild an old building overnight.
A cape-carrying fan would help, but the report doesn't say every restaurant will install air conditioning and succeed because of it. It shows recurring heat waves are changing hospitality spaces.
When a chair feels sticky and the menu curls at the edges, climate stops sounding like a faraway word.
In a casual chat, you might say they're adapting to the heat, but the upgrade isn't a quick fix.
I like those phrases because they stop me from pretending a thermostat tells the whole story.
The report links heat response with staff retention and customer comfort, but gives no turnout forecast.
I would stay longer in a comfortable cafe, but that's my habit, not a forecast.
Exactly. The report gives us the challenge: heat, cost, older buildings, and the need to care for people inside.
And it reminds me to be kind to anyone working near a hot oven. That's not a statistic, just good manners.
Today, a Spider-Man movie brought a huge turnout. The EU began applying new AI rules, and UK restaurants faced the practical work of adapting to heat.
One story was about people arriving at theaters, one was about clearer labels online, and one was about keeping real rooms comfortable.
Our keyword, turnout, means the number of people who actually come to an event or gathering.
You can use it for a movie, a local vote, a workshop, or a picnic where everyone suddenly remembers they own an umbrella.
Would you choose A, Spider-Man, B, EU labels, or C, restaurant heat, and why?
I choose C because it makes a global weather pattern feel very close to an ordinary table, chair, and busy kitchen.
I chose B because a simple label can change how we begin to understand something we see online.
Share your choice and your reason in the comments. We would love to hear what made you stop and think.
Any language is welcome, and even a short message helps keep the conversation going.
If you enjoyed today's chat, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so we can practice again tomorrow.
Notice the turnout at one small event around you today, even if it's just 2 people meeting for coffee.
2 people, good coffee, excellent turnout. See you tomorrow.